Okay, so it's should be recording.
In progress.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it
Stands
one
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority. May we use it in our directives for the common good, for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Order, roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Present.
Mrs. Joyce.
Here.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Here.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Next, public comment. Please. Please turn the microphone on. Thank you.
I heard a nasty rumor, and I am not one that likes,
Please, I'm sorry, your name and address.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Debbie King, 43 East Shore Boulevard, Timberlake, Ohio. I don't like rumors at all. I really don't like this one, but I'm hoping it's just a rumor, so I thought I'd ask. I heard we're trying to get an estimate from Eastlake to switch over to Eastlake Police Department. Is that true?
Of course not.
Of course not. Okay, okay. Just so everybody can hear that, and so it's in the minutes.
Sorry
And
to hear-
we- I'm sorry.
Sorry you have to hear a rumor like that, but that's absolutely.
I know. I thought, no, this can't
It's
be
not
true. Okay. All right. Well, I did ask a police officer last night, an Eastlake police officer, and he said he didn't hear that rumor. He heard the rumor we were looking into switching, what's that word? Dispatch to Eastlake Dispatch. And I thought, oh, well, maybe somebody got it confused. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Currently with Lake County Dispatch.
Lake County Dispatch.
That's who we're using now, right?
Yes.
But I
but-
think that's who Eastlake uses as well. I don't believe they have their own dispatch.
Yeah, what?
They all use, I have to be careful about using the term all.
Gotcha.
The communities that I'm aware of uses the county-wide system for dispatch. Now, whether Eastlake has the ability to do its own, I don't know.
He made me believe that they do have a dispatch of their own and that we were looking into that.
Well.
Well, that's kind of odd also then. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Okay, now reading disposition of the minutes. Do I have a approval for council meeting minutes, a motion to approve council meeting minutes of November 21st, 2023, please?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion, Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
I have a motion to enter an executive session to discuss compensation of a public official or employee.
So moved.
Who are you gonna invite? Fiscal officer and myself.
Sorry, yes, right, invite, Mr. O'Leary, Mr. Oscars, invited.
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion,
Second.
Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Okay, we can start now that you're back.
Okay, moving on to legislation. Please turn your mics on. Okay. Resolution number 2023-33, third reading, a resolution approving of the permanent appropriations funds for the Village of Timberlake, Ohio for the year 2024 and declare an emergency. Do I make a motion to approve, please? Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mrs. Joyce seconds. Discussion.
Which one is this now?
Appropriation.
2024 budget appropriation.
Oh, okay, this is to approve.
Right.
Right.
One discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Next resolution 2023-34 on third reading, a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to transfer $40,000 from the general fund, 1,000 as follows: $20,000 to the police cruiser capital fund 4901 and $20,000 to the village hall capital fund 4903 for the current fiscal year of 2023 and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please? Mr. Joyce makes a motion.
I second.
Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call or discussion.
I still questioning why we have to swearing. We've had to read.
Right, this is to make sure that it takes into effect immediately.
Oh,
Yes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Next is resolution 2023-35 on third reading. A resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to transfer $43,000 from the general fund 1,000 to the paving improvement OPWC debt service fund 3902 for the fiscal year 2024 and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
I make a motion.
Ms. Mara makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Thompson seconds. Roll call, please, or discussion? Discussion, being heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Next, resolution 2023-40. Do I have a resolution amending the permanent appropriation fund for the Village of Timberlake, Ohio for the year 2023 and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
Make a motion.
Samara makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mrs. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Suspend the rules. This isn't to approve it. This is to
Oh,
suspend.
okay, okay. Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Yep.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Now, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-40, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Mara makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Joyce seconds. Discussion, please.
So I just wanted to review the purpose of this. I think we'll be good on payroll in these areas. It's going to be close on a couple of them. So I want to make sure that if necessary, we have the ability to move some money from the other expense areas in these departments to wages and benefits if we need to. So without, in case we end up short, it'd be hard to pay people. So that's the reasoning for this one. So this, if you look at the original budget appropriation in 2023, you'll see that the departments are broken up by wages and benefits and police other expenses, and the same with wages and benefits and service other expense, and that's also the same with the village hall. They're broken up into these broad categories: wages and benefits and village hall other expense. So this would give me the ability, if necessary, to transfer funds from the line items in the other expense areas to the wages and benefit line items.
But if you don't need it.
Then if I don't need it, I won't use it, but just in case.
What's the village hall wages benefits? Is that like cleaning after for service?
It's mostly for just Yeah, cleaning the hall for events and meetings and stuff.
You have the discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Next resolution number 2023-41. Resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into agreement with Love Insurance Agency to provide for the continuation of property and casualty insurance coverage for the village of Timberlake, for the village property, and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
I make a motion.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion, Mrs. Mara seconds, roll call please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-41, please?
Make a motion.
Mrs. Mara makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Joyce seconds. Discussion, please.
So our insurance premium is going up about $1,500 from last year, and is partly to do with litigation claims and also in the tree damage from August. So that was a significant claim also.
What percentage is it going to be? You said, I think 50.
It's a little over 10%.
Have a discussion, question? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Next, ordinance number 10-2023. An ordinance amending wages and salaries for the employees of the village of Timberlake, Ohio, and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
We need a motion to approve as amended, I believe.
And so,
That'll,
we're gonna make amended changes, so, do I have a motion to approve it as amended for the
Let's read it line by
executive
line.
session?
Let's read it line by line.
Yeah, you'll have to go over the line by line in the discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah.
so moved.
So do we have, okay,
I'll
Mr.
move.
Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a
Second.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Okay, now discussion.
Okay, I would like to propose the following amendments. That, first of all, in section 1, that be approved as it stands. In section 2, the mayor would be paid at $3,600 annually, paid monthly at $300. Council would be $1,800 annually, paid monthly at $150. There are no changes there. Fiscal officer would be given an increase per the Ohio Revised Code 507.09, also paid monthly, but without the 3.5% cost of living increase. Solicitor would remain the same at $24,000 paid monthly, annually paid monthly. Secretary of Council doesn't exist, but if they did, it would be at $60 a month. Police Department, the Chief of Police would remain at $50,552 annual, paid bi-weekly. The Lieutenant would be at $18.75 an hour. Detective Sergeant at $18.60 an hour. Sergeant at $18.50 an hour. Corporal at $18.25 per hour. The Patrolman at $18 an hour. The Special Patrolman, Auxiliary Patrolman would remain the same at $1 per year. And in the part-time employees, service roads, parks, village hall, playground and trees, class 1 would be at $16 an hour. And the zoning and property maintenance would remain at $3,000 annual paid monthly at $250. All of the remaining part of the proposal for the ordinance 10-2023 would remain the same.
I think it's important to note for the record that part of the reason for this is because the budget proposed for next year is a deficit. And it's not that these positions won't be given increases during 2024. It's just that right now, the tenor of council is to not increase wages until we have a handle on where we are financially. Is that a fair statement?
That's absolutely true.
Okay.
Any other changes or corrections? Okay, nothing else? Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Next is ordinance number 11-2023. An ordinance amending the Village of Timberlake's income tax ordinance pursuant to the changes approved in House Bill 33. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion. Have a second.
I'll second.
Mrs. Hardwick seconds. Roll call, please.
Can we have, I got discussion on this?
Well,
Oh, this
we
is
will.
for suspending, sorry. Okay.
Suspend, please.
Aye. Sorry.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance number 11-2023, please?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Thompson seconds. Now discussion.
Okay, so what exactly are those changes, John? I
So
tried to read through them and.
yeah, I sent out a link that Rita provided. If you read the actual language, it's pretty complicated, but
Yeah.
Rita did a nice job of summarizing it.
Okay,
So the provisions that really apply to us, we don't have any economic development zone, so we don't have to worry about that section, but it's still in there. It's like a template. It's probably in our ordinance somewhere, but so we already exempted individuals under 18 years from income tax, so we don't have to change that. That stays the same. There was I guess a mistake in the language about net operating loss carry forward, and they corrected a mistake there. One of the bigger sections is there's the ability to use an alternative formula for businesses with remote workers. So that regards net profit filings. The other provisions, there's another provision that also is related to net profits. So this has to do with extensions. So if a business net profit filer files a federal extension, this also extends the municipal income tax deadline by 1 month to the 15th day of the 11th month after the end of the taxpayer's tax year. There's also a prohibition on sending out notices while taxpayers are on extension. So Rita won't be able to send a non-filing inquiry or notice to a taxpayer about a tax year if they're currently in extension.
Will we be
And it
notified
also, what's that?
Will we be notified if they're an extension?
Yes, Rita would be notified.
Okay, so we would not, so Rita is responsible. for
Rita
sending out
handles-
The delinquent tax notice.
Right, Rita
Okay.
handles all the back end
All right.
stuff. And also for a first time late filer, Rita does charge them, have to reimburse the taxpayer for $150. So basically they won't be able to charge a late fee for the first time somebody's late. I also already mentioned the waiver of the fee, so that, and then also it looks like the tax commissioner requires a instead of being, I guess, okay, so the current law requires municipalities to notify the tax commissioner of a tax increase within 60 days of the effective date. Now it's 60 days as soon as it occur, like, so it says municipalities must notify the tax commissioner of any change in the tax rate within 60 days. Okay. That, I think that covers it.
Okay,
Mostly it's
mostly it's administrative stuff.
right, and the biggest part is that formula for net profit taxes and remote workers. And the reduction of penalties and things like that we can charge.
Does it cause you to have more work, or is this gonna be?
No, it's just gonna cause Rita probably to have more work.
Because we don't have reciprocity with other municipalities, the remote work doesn't affect us because we will get our 2%. Regardless. Here, home residents here.
The remote worker provision mostly applies to like corporations where there's workers
Workers,
like
okay.
working at home and stuff like
Corporate
that.
tax rate.
Right. So it relates only to net profits.
Okay, all the discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Moving on to reports, fiscal officer report. Process, please.
So our general fund ending balance through November 30th is $385,050. Our month-to-date revenue was $27,593 versus expenditures of $44,495, and that was a net decline for the month of $16,902. Our expenditures were approximately $15,505 less than expected for the month. Last year, we had more expenses in updating our legal and ordinance. So we had a lot more ordinance updates we did last year. There's very few this year. Our workers' compensation costs also went down. Apparently there were some larger tree expenses last fall. And also our personnel expenses were down for the month versus last year slightly.
Because all the trees came down in August.
Exactly. So as I had estimated, a big, a bad month at some point, and it landed in a different month. So that's basically the reason. And let's see, our general fund revenue through November 30th it's about $213 less than last year. And revenues in November were about $3,907 less than estimated, and that's again due to lower than anticipated income tax revenues. At this time, based on our current estimated spending rates and revenue, we estimate a surplus for the general fund this year of around $69,806. With the additions to our village hall and police cruiser capital funds, we're looking at a estimated surplus of $29,806. Other significant fund activity and miscellaneous. City of Eastlake finally billed us for the last 2 winters of salt usage. That cost us $2,406. And this was paid out of our SCMR fund 2011. We also made our second semi-annual payment of $20,494 or so for our street improvement bonds, and that comes out of Fund 3902. And these funds originate from a transfer out of our general fund at the beginning of the year. And there were also $500 in refunds issued from our 9901 hall rental security deposit refund fund in November.
And do you know when the auditor's redoing the appraisals for property value taxes?
Gonna take 2 years to take.
I
Takes
think
a
that
while.
I think the next one's coming up soon.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be going, like ongoing as of 2004. but it
Right.
could take a while. I got a letter from. the
Yeah, I thought
auditor-
it's coming. a bit
Auditor
early.
Galloway saying it's gonna take 2 years to complete, but. yeah,
Okay,
it's-
to actually go into effect then, so we have, because I was just,
That I'm not sure.
if taxes go up substantially for property taxes, we should consider whether that's lowering the income tax or offsetting that if it's substantial across the board and our income rises drastically, or revenues, and we don't.
It's unlikely we would see much of a bump because we're probably only gonna get a little bit of a bump from our inside millage, and you could, maybe Kevin would know better, but the rate of property value increases coming down, I think.
We shall see.
Okay, just thought while we were talking about financial rules.
But it wouldn't be significant enough where we could probably adjust much that way.
Keep an eye on it, if you don't mind. We see a huge jump in our revenues, just let us know.
It'd probably be like $5,000 or $8,000 or something. minimal.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Let's move it on. Mayor's report, I'd like to just tell everyone that we did sell our service truck. It went on municipal bid. There were 41 bids or 42 bids. And the final bid that won the auction was $5,500. So we got $5,500
right.
for this truck.
Way to go.
Guy from Toledo bought it and he was able to drive it back. So he got back safely with it. So. Yeah, well.
So you gave him a big roll of duct tape to take with them, right?
Well. I know the yard waste pickup is finished for the year, but they will be picking up Christmas trees 2 weeks after Christmas, so. If anyone has those, they will be picking those up on Republic. And, pretty much, it's been nice and quiet, no snow removal, thank God, and it's supposed to be, well. We can say it because you know what, we want snow for Christmas, so let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, but 52 degrees for Christmas, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beats
Better
last
than
year.
last year,
Yeah.
it sure does. So anyway, but that's all I have to report. Anyway, next, Mr. Willie, citizen report.
I don't have anything to add, Your Honor. Mayor.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't that kind of- Give you a title.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Hartwick.
I just want to say, Saturday will be the day, no, when's Christmas?
Monday,
Monday.
Sunday is the day
Sunday is the day for luminaries.
at Browns game.
To go down there and help or
Yeah, to disperse them down East Shore and islands and whatever.
what time?
I think it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
We have to say anything about weather permitting.
no,
Should,
no, not this year.
Yeah.
It's crazy last year, but we're good.
shouldn't have to say anything about weather permitting.
The luminaires, last year we got snowed out. First year, we didn't have luminaires.
What's up?
What are they predicting for wind, do you know?
We don't want
Goes
to.
all the trees.
Always windy.
Okay, Mr. Conrad.
Thanks, Mayor. Few things to touch on for those that haven't noticed, or for those that have, I guess, too. There is a speed radar sign out on our lake shore that we have on loaner from ODOT. So it's their LTAP program. Reached out to them. They brought it to their District 7 garage over in Painesville Township, and the mayor was kind enough to go pick it up. We got it installed. Service did a great job. We've had some technical kinks that we worked through, but it seems to be operating, and we have a maintenance schedule down for it to keep it charged up in batteries. I want to thank Ken Zaller for letting us borrow the electrical outlet for the first pass of it. And then we switched to my house, and now it's fully operational on batteries. So we were just working through the system of how this thing works. We also did place the order for our permanent speed radar sign that we purchased using the NOPEC grant funding that we had available. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. It's obviously the holiday season. I think it wasn't expected to ship out until after the new year. I think Santa's busy making presents, not speed radar signs. So we gotta wait for that.
Is that a mobile device?
It's a sign. We did get a dolly as well, and it's solar driven, so
Okay.
powered. So we won't have the same nightmare of swapping out batteries and doing all that in the dark and week or so, but the mayor's been great, service has been great on that. Another point to service and the mayor, they got Stan's catch basin done finally, so mayor was, knee deep in a hole, digging it out, putting the bricks back on and leveling it out. I reached out to Stan and he says they raised about 8 inches and he was happy with it. So that was good to finally be able to get that one off, and I apologize for Stan for taking so long, but given our constraints and our tornado and service department handling everything else here and the mayor having a busy schedule, we were able to get it done. So thanks for that. I think that's it. Anything else is kind of quiet. We'll keep, I do want to say that speed sign, I watch it frequently and it does slow people down about 5 miles an hour. Now you always get the 1 or 2 that trying to break the high record, going a little faster because of it. So it's not a perfect system. But I have noticed, I can actually sit on my couch in my living room, watch it at night. So I don't know if that makes me
Wow.
crazy or not, but I do monitor it. The other neighbors do. It is slowing cars down. You see them going about 45 and then they get under 40 by the time they hit the sign. So I think it was a good use to get it on loaner, make sure we thought it would serve the purpose that it does, and then we'll have our own sign that can be moved around the village depending on where we have concerns or complaints. So can't wait to get that new toy. The new one also has data management, so I'm very excited. I can put it in a little spreadsheet, we can chart and see how fast people are actually going. It's good to have at least a sign that gives you some data because I can see it, right? And I can see it working, but to have actual numbers that we can crunch, be a little more scientific about it. I'm excited about it. So keep it posted on that and keep an eye out for any grants or anything that you want to see anything, send them. Time now, I'm not working for the rest of the year, so I have to review some things. Now is the best time while I got kids still in daycare. Full-time job to take care of. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Mr. Joyce.
I want to commend Ryan for all his work on the speed sign. I have to tell you that as I pull out of Owaissa onto Lakeshore Boulevard driving west, I will probably screw up your data because I never get up to speed. So what I'm going to have to do is have to go down Shawandasi and then up Minnewawa so that I avoid it and not throw your data off. Because as I see, I pull out and I see the first guy go through and it's like 39 or something like that. And then I'm 21, 25, by the time I go by it. So, but no, I think it's great. I think it's a great reminder to people. And, no, I don't think you're weird for watching it from your living room. Second thing, I think it's great that as you ride through the village, how people are doing their holiday lighting. I think the village looks terrific. I'm really looking forward to the luminaries this year because, it was, in fact, I still have some that are stacked up, that are still ready to go from last year. I didn't dismantle them all and put them all away. So they're sort of stacked and ready to go. So I'm looking forward to that. And Mary Beth Germano is busy making phone calls to people to make sure that they get out there and light the public areas up. So, that should be really nice. And the weather should be very cooperative. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Joyce?
Just 2 things. John just gave me this letter from NOPEC with regard to the community event sponsorship program. And apparently we have to fill out a form and submit that.
Usually John Ross, because that's the $500, right?
Yeah, it's probably the $500
Yeah.
community grant.
Yeah.
So
Is that something that you do or I do?
normally I fill it out online.
Okay, then I'll give this back
All
to
right.
you because it has the codes and things that you'll need.
Okay.
The second thing, is, on the sidewalk thing and just touching base with the Lakeshore Boulevard residents. I did go through and, looked through the list of the people we did not speak to when we went out door to door, and went through the directory and kind of called through and got, it took more time than I expected to just get their phone numbers and whatnot. And then, you know, the holidays are upon us. So I think I'm gonna wait until after the new year before I start calling people. I want to hear it. So anyway, so I hopefully have something to report in January.
Mayor, I forgot to mention, we did get word back from, the ODOT on the grant application, and it has a status of pending. So they requested more information and had some suggestions about what they would like to see, which includes, crosswalks. They were asking for a multi-purpose type trail, so it'd be, you know, multi-use trail or shared path is what they call it. So it could accommodate both pedestrians and bicyclists. I spoke with Brian Blaney, who has helped us through this process, and kind of told him, you know, that would be a kind of a non-starter for us here in Timberlake. We already have setbacks aren't very big on Lake Shore. If you go any bigger than a traditional sidewalk, it's gonna be a little more invasive to people's property. So I told him that we're all for having crosswalks and you know, the signage and all that is a no-brainer, but if it's, you know, it's gotta be this bigger 10-foot shared path or a 5-foot sidewalk, it's always gonna be a sidewalk. Otherwise, we'll just, you know, bow out of the grant funding, because I already think it's kind of invasive a little bit, and you can't just do it just because that's what it's kind of my thought. So I just forgot to mention that. So I have a call with him in January sometime. I'll reach out to him, see what the path forward is. No pun intended. We'll see where it goes.
Okay, great, thank you for that update. Okay.
Thank you, Village Club, for a great Christmas party. To those who were there.
To the Village Club, great Christmas party, great decorations, great food, great people. A lot of work went into it. Thank you. Mrs. Hardwick, who's president of the Village Club, to Kim and Keith Wittersheim, to Andrea and Alan. You guys, they rocked it. It was a great Christmas party. Hopefully next year we could have more people. It was like 40, wasn't there? Like 40 people. It was very, very nice. Very well done, tastefully done. The other thing I have to report is I've gotten less complaints about people feeding animals. So please, let's continue not to feed the animals. I know people are probably going to Florida and then springtime comes, but we're still gonna have to look about getting people to enforce, do not feed the animals without me looking heartless, but you know, we can't have those rodents again. I've had less calls. One particularly calls all the time, but it's okay. Like I get it. You know, they are not the only person that calls. And I had also a call about businesses at home that are advertised. There's a couple, somebody, I don't say the name. There's somebody who runs a business out of their house and they have a sign saying they're running a business. And I don't know if we have to look at that again, because I think there's an ordinance say there isn't allowed to have a business out of the house here in Timberlake. But during COVID, everything has changed of, you know, who's working from home and what. So twice now, this person's asked me, why are they allowed to put that advertisement that they're selling something outside their house as a business? So we're gonna have to look at that in the new year, because that was twice now I've heard about it. And that's all I have to report. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Thompson.
Nothing to report on trees. I also like to reiterate that the Christmas party was very nice and residents should consider going in the future. And yeah, happy holidays, and I hope everybody has a good remaining part of their year.
You missed one. At our last meeting, we had Elizabeth Waters got up and spoke about the tree behind her house.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's a big one.
And we actually did something related to something that happened at the last meeting.
I know.
Thanks to the mayor and others who were diligent about following up. We sent a nastygram to the neighbor to remind him that it was their responsibility. They complied and the tree came down.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Solicitor, for working on that. I also like to mention Gary Gray.
Yeah,
for
Mr.
finding
Gray.
The ordinance that allowed me to send paperwork. So that was a very happy ending to a very difficult situation.
Yes, Gary did a wonderful job on that.
Thank you, Solicitor, for reminding me.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the police chief report. Chief's not here, so I'll read it. We had one 911 call. There was one accident report. There was one administrative referral, or two administrative referrals, 4 response to alarms, 5 requests for assistance, 1 civil complaint, 1 court request, 44 community policing patrols, 4 disturbances, 31 house checks, 1 request for information, 12 investigations, 1 parking violation, 1 suspicious circumstance, and 1 welfare check. Total was 110 events for the month. Next, moving on to zoning and property. Gary Graves not here. I don't believe there were anything to report last month, so it was very, very quiet for December. Next, we're moving on to purchases and approvals. Do we have a motion to approve the November 2023 financial report, please? Joyce makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Okay, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mora,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
You. Next, move on to our second public comment question, or public comment and questions. Anyone else? Please.
The mic.
Hey.
My name is Debbie King and I live at 43 East Shore Boulevard. I have 3 questions. Number 1, could we clarify how to call the police if someone's at home and they need the police? I've heard somebody talk to me today about it, and yeah, they think that they're supposed to call the police number. And yeah, I know.
Yeah, they call it SPAC.
Well, there's 2 things. First of all, if it's an emergency, of course, 911.
Right.
Secondly, if it's anything really for the police department itself, they should call central dispatch. That number's on our website. Of course, it's on the frisbees they passed out. But again, that number is the reason why we want them to call central dispatch, even if they need to talk to the chief or any officers, because they'll have a call record on that. We'll have a record of it, so this way then we can follow up. So, without that, we won't know, have that follow up. So that's the best way, just have everyone just call central dispatch. And that's what the chief always, that she put in place a few years ago. So. Next question.
So hopefully that'll go word for word into the Timberlake Times and people will have that information.
Yes, and then
I can give you
we'll even put the central dispatch number in there.
Yeah, I have it here. I can give it to you.
Oh, I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, and I'm sure Johnny has it too. That was first and foremost. And I think we need to put into the Timberlake Times also about how the leaves, just so everybody knows that we don't put leaves out and we don't have a leaf pickup.
Amen.
'Cause there's some people who put all these leaves out there, this high even, and they just blow all over the place. And so I don't know what we have to do about that. Does somebody go out there and tell them, no, don't do this? You got to bag your leaves.
There was a repeat offender that avoided me knocking on their door, telling them that. Then they finally stopped doing it.
Did they pick up their leaves then?
After they had already blown them into the village, the village island twice.
Oh.
And then they knew other
Well,
people were
these
upset about it
aren't
too.
Well, they're blowing into the village. I guess they're blowing into, well, no, they're not blowing into the village center strip or anything. They're blowing into other people's yards.
Mhm.
So I should tell you about this so that,
I could make a phone call or I could.
okay. Okay. And then we'll also put it in the Timberlake Times.
Right, that it gets in the Times.
Okay.
Right.
No more leak.
There's no more leaf pickups right now.
Right.
No.
Well, they could pick it up and put it
Where else?
in a bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a clean.
I mean,
yard
it
and then
truly
your
is
neighbors
like this high. Yeah. And then the last thing, how are we doing on the sign that's missing at Keewaydin and Wobbin?
Oh, we gotta work on that.
We have one put together, we're supposed to just have to put it up.
All right,
Yeah, so we just,
okay,
we found the signs put together, yeah.
okay,
So
super,
we'll be installing that,
okay, thank you.
yes. Thank you. Good. Yeah, that's it. Anyone else have anything else to add before we adjourn? Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Nothing else? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Joyce makes a motion.
Second.
Conrad seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce. Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Murrah.
Aye.
Mr. Conrad. Mr. Thompson.
It's 8:06. We're adjourned. Next regular meeting is Tuesday,